Broadcasting from Ireland, featuring interviews with some of the biggest names in magic. Welcome to the Deceive Reality Podcast with your hosts, David Peace and Steve Spade.
And we're back. Hey everyone, welcome back to the podcast. Bit of a break, we switched it up. So we're going to start off a bit differently. We're not interviewing anyone. We're actually in the same place today. You're not in a car or on the motorway.
That's it.
It's bad.
I get to sit down in a nice, warm, nice places. Happy days. We're in Dave's studio, so it's all good today.
Yeah, it's all good. We got a black wall behind us. We're serious. So that's
very serious.
The real problem is, and we've got cards in the hands. So we apologise for the audio of cards being riffled.
That'll be me. Sorry.
All the way
they're
through.
going down.
They're going down. So we're going to start about talking about what we've been up to in the last while, and then we're going to start reviewing a few products that we picked up and what we thought about them, that sort of stuff. So to begin with, Steve, what's been going on with you?
What's going on with me?
Because I don't talk to you ever.
Yeah. Summer shows, and I'm doing Electric Picnic, which I'm looking forward to. I'm heading to Vegas next week. We're heading over. Magic Live is on, and I'm going over to the Merlin Awards as well. So that'll be all awesome. And it's all good.
Fine.
Busy.
Yeah, busy. It's good to be busy.
Yeah, back to normal.
Yeah, I've had a fun summer of getting a grade 3 sprain on my ankle. So that was great.
That's always
so
good.
I've been in a boot. I've finally getting back gigging. Started doing some parallel shows. And next week now I've got my first walk around gig again, so that's gonna be fun.
It's limping. He's limping around.
I'll be limping around.
He's a limp around magician.
Yeah. It's a character choice I've made that I'm always gonna have. Now. And
very penguin of you.
Be crying with the pain, but no, it's getting there. But it's been good to kind of get back out there because you miss the itch. It's great. You start off and it's a couple of weeks now, relaxing, watching stuff, reading and stuff. Then you forget all the stuff you've read, and you have to go back out again.
It's like the first few months of the pandemic. You bought loads of magic shit, and then you're like, "Oh, I can't perform for ever."
Exactly. I was about to buy a Penguin Live lecture the other day, and then realized I already have it.
Oh yeah,
I have to go through it.
I think we all fit into that trap of just buying tons of Penguin Live lectures during the pandemic and not watching any of them.
No, there's no point. So I was going to go through it, getting back into it. So yeah, we're going to kind of go through some things that we've been messing around with and talking through. So the first thing that we've been talking about a lot is Mindhouse was launched by Lewis Laval and Storyteller came out. So for people who don't know, Storyteller is awesome. It's brilliant. It's a project all about what happens after you get the peak in mentalism, because so many things you come out with, different peak wallets, different peak gimmicks, techniques, all that sort of stuff, forces and stuff, but really it's the presentation that matters, and that's what's focused on.
Technically not for beginners, I guess, in the sense that it's a bit more advanced. It's more about like how you're going to kind of interact after the fact. 100%.
Like they do teach peaks on it, but like they're not the sort of peaks that you everybody is expected to have your own peak already. Morally, that's just for sake of completeness. But I think because some of the stuff are quite deep, quite mystical, that you want to be a good performer to really pull these off. And also, if you're something you want to get better, it's definitely a good project to pick up because you can really listen to it and try the stuff out. Like I think Heartbeat was brilliant. It's a great thing. It can touch subject when you're talking about stuff where kind of like around talking to dead, having someone write down a name of a dead relative, but you can mix it up. I was always thinking it could be someone who you just haven't seen in a few years, maybe living in Australia or something.
And I think that kind of material as well inspires you to think, because no sooner did I have it watched, I had written down as I was watching it 4 or 5 ideas that kind of were similar or completely different, but they were like different effects as well. So I think it's brilliant that way as well. It will kind of get your creative juices going.
Yeah, it's like a creative jam session of like that side of the side of performance that doesn't get enough attention from a lot of magic products. It's just like, here's the moves about performance. And for those of you who have watched the project know what I'm talking about, I went and bought some obsidian, so I carry that in my pocket now, which is great. So it's like you've got all these different things.
Yeah, obsidian is going through the roof in the stock market because of Dave.
I'm buying
Dave's giving it to everyone these days.
I've got an obsidian ring, obsidian in my pocket. It's just the way to go.
It's obsidian. Fuck that. We're not making a joke. There's no joke there.
No.
It's fucking. That's because I'm a dad now. See, dad jokes just creep in. I can't help it.
100%. But I think it's really interesting. If anybody has as well, Revelations by Lewis Laval when he was with the 1914, it's a similar sort of project again, all about the revelations and that sort of thing. So I think it could be interesting to look at like sort of. In Magic, we always talk about if you have a control, a double lift, and a force, you can do anything. But then it's like, what do you do? Joe, that's sort of like the plots and the presentations and like how many of us go...
knowing the information or knowing how it works is not the trick. It's a presentation. And a lot of magicians kind of don't realize that. And I think Lewis has kind of knocked on the head this time where it's like, well, it doesn't matter how you get your information. this is how you can reveal it.
Yeah, we're all guilty of that situation of just keep saying it over and over in your head. That's the word.
Yeah. I remember there's some old videos of me on YouTube where I'm just like clicking. Like, I don't know. It's like take a shot every time I click or whatever, and you will be pissed in about 3 seconds.
I did.
But but there is that, I suppose you fall into little kind of loops, traps, and that clicking thing I remember was a Max Maven thing I remember seeing.
Yeah.
And I remember watching back on the video, it's like, I've clicked fucking 30 times in that video. That's weird.
Yeah.
But yeah, but no, Lewis really has really kind of, I mean, I think he's kind of opened up now the Holy Grail a little bit, and he is kind of telling you stuff he genuinely uses, because you can tell by the way he's explained it.
100%, and you really get the thing of like a lot of mentalists go down the psychological Darren Brownie route, and Lewis is a lot more mystical. So for people who are looking at that as well, like these are a lot more mystical performance styles, but you can switch it up. And even if you want to do it, it's just giving you if you want to stick with the psychological stuff, just watching this, as you were saying, it just opens your brain.
Yeah,
it gives you ideas. Absolutely. Like I thought, like there's sacred geometry one where you're sitting and getting people to think of shapes that I think could be done in a psychological.
But that's a great segue into like an ESP routine or whatever,
Yeah, it's just really good. I really recommend it. I think anybody who's interested in mentalism, it's a must buy. If you only do magic, there's no point. It's not really. It's a mentalism release. So but if you do any bit of mentalism,
maybe if you're doing like a darker show, like a Halloween show or something, and you want to make it a little bit more edgy and you stay away from like card tricks and whatever, you can use some of these techniques for sure.
Yeah, 100%. I definitely think it's one of those. It's one of those techniques that has a lot of stuff to it. So
definitely a thumbs up.
Thumbs up. Definitely recommend that. Storyteller by Mindhouse and Lewis Laval. They have other great stuff on there as well that you should definitely check out. Lexicon is there as well. I picked that up. That's really good too. And there is his reading card, which I carry in my Orphic wallet now. That is also there. So definitely worth checking out Mindhouse if you're interested in mentalism. And moving again. You're shocked. It's going to be another mentalism thing.
It's definitely going to be mentalism.
So we'll be looking at some stuff. This is a book test that a lot of people have been talking about by Angelo Carbone, which is called The End. Yeah. So this is something that I was thinking about when it came out. I don't really do book tests that much because I didn't like the fishing and all that sort of stuff. But then when I saw a performance of this, I was like, "Oh, that's different."
You sent me the trailer. I was like, "Yeah, that's clever."
It's a different technique. So when you get it. It comes in a lovely box. You get a crib as well, which is great for the words that are in there. But you can memorize them off. I memorized them off. I used the Mind Palace because it's the thing. Yeah. But it's Mind Palaces can seem really complicated, but basically I just walking through my house and seeing things. It's not that hard, and there's 19 things that you have to memorize.
Yeah, we're getting Dave checked after the show. It was a pretty weird fucking story, to be honest. But but it works. That's it. It'll stick in there because it's strange.
Yeah, and then the more you perform it, the more they stick with you. And what I found interesting, the first 3 times I performed it, people pick the same word or something, so you can get into that. Right. But there are 19 variations in there, so there's lots of stuff to it. And it's that simple thing where it doesn't sound like you're fishing for any information. Sure. People forget it. You can ask people after I performed. My wife asked her afterwards, was like, what is... Did you give me any information? They just say no. So it really works. It's a really strong one. It's gone straight into my show. I've been performing at a parlor shows since. I have a pin code routine, so I use this as a password routine with the pin code thing. So that works together. So something I was looking to add into my routine. So it works really well.
Yeah,
definitely recommend it. We've been messing around with it today.
Yeah, it's great.
And definitely, I think it's one of the things that is €70. I think I got it on Vanishing Ink, so it's quite expensive, but it's one of those things that it's very well made. You get everything you want. The instructions by Javier from Murphy's Magic is brilliant, and you also get a booklet.
It's expensive if you're a hobbyist or you're doing occasional gigs, but I mean if you're working regularly, it's not expensive at all. You're going to use it. You're going to use it nonstop.
Yeah. It's going into it's in my literally the camera is resting on my close-up case or my stage case, so it's sitting inside there all the time now. It's ready to go. So
I flick through it and you can read it easily. So it's really clever.
Yeah, it's one of those things that you can read, look at, and get going a lot. So it's one of those. It's another highly recommend. So we tend to only review stuff we like.
Yeah, and we actually use.
Yeah, I'm not going to really talk about stuff I don't like that much.
Yeah,
but I think it's really good. So definitely recommend The End if you're anyway into book tests, and even if you have been disappointed with other book tests before, I think it's worth checking it out because it's got a lot of really good stuff in there. And now we're going to jump on to something that I picked up all the way back in Blackpool, and again we've been messing around with it. It's over here. I'm going to show it here this way. So it looks like a deck of cards.
Me bad a while ago.
Yeah, it's a fooler.
Then pissed me off for 10 minutes.
It's got the name, says it all, which is Knock 'em Dead. Knock 'em Dead by Alakazam Magic, Peter Nardi. It is a routine. I'll just describe the routine. Spectator holds the deck, deals, stops anytime they want. Whenever they want, they stop dealing. They turn over the card they dealt out, or they look at the card they dealt out, and you've predicted it every time. No issue, and impossible prediction. It's just insane.
And it's clean.
It's so clean.
An example, to be fair.
Yeah. It's pretty good. Like it's fine for like light, because the spectators holding the cards, they're dealing through it. They don't want to go through everything. You know, it kind of works out.
Yeah,
it's not something that you want to have rigorous examination of, but light examination, like the spectators holding the cards and dealing. So I don't think you can really get away with it.
Exactly.
But Peter Nardi performed this to me on Blackpool this year and fooled me so bad I just bought it immediately and then learned it and went through that lovely cycle of, oh my God, it's not real magic. What? It's not. It's
great
not
standalone trick. You're popping
it.
into a radio show or popping into an interview, meeting a journalist, whatever. Just like a one piece trick or end of night trick. You've done everything. I'll show you one more and you can break out this. I think it's a real head scratcher. I was looking for method as I was doing it, and I was like, oh, I wasn't thinking that.
Yeah, 100%.
So it's really good.
It's really, and I think
I like being a little bit fooled.
Yeah, it's always great. It's why we got into this. But I think what you said is great as well. It's not something that you do at every table.
No,
because it can kind of
you could
do it.
You could.
But I think it's one of those things that it's a special. Like maybe the bride and groom have them do it at the wedding, or the booker who's booked you.
The booker, to one side or something. Let me show you something. Yeah,
because I tend not to carry extra decks with me.
Yeah,
I only carry my deck.
Yeah.
And
we came up with a social media way of doing it as well, which is pretty cool. So
you can get it into your social media. There's a lot of ways of doing that. So it's definitely, again, a strong recommend. These are the things that basically have been put into my set recently that I've been working through. So there's this here, Knock 'em Dead's going in, the end book test has gone in, and some presentations from Storyteller have gone in. So there are a lot of this other stuff that we've been looking at over the last while and like jamming through and trying to break it down. So they're kind of like our views on what those are. Those things. I think they're really good. There are a few other things.
Just our opinion, you know. I mean, obviously go and check them out and see for yourselves. But I mean, they are definitely workers.
Yeah, 100%. I think they're like really strong performance pieces, and they're like it's like 2 physical products and a download, which is great.
Yeah,
and just shout out as well to the download of Off Stage by Alexander Marsh. I'm just finished up. I need to go through that a bit more. There's some great part of stuff, but not really to go into it. But again, recommend. But yeah, for like, I think even if you looked at this stuff and you did a mentalism peak routine with someone, if you start off and go, okay, we'll start with something, maybe warm up, and have a book, think of a word. Great, you do that. You get the person thinking of it. You go, let's take it up a level. I want you to write down or draw an image for me. You do that. You do a big presentation about that image. You everything, you detail them. Go, now let's try something a bit different. I want to judge your intuition. Here, take that card, deal them through, stop whenever you want. Boom, prediction. That's a close-up set. What more do you need? Those two actually go quite well together. I hadn't thought about it until just there, but it's got quite a lot to it. I think it's really strong.
I used to do a handling before with just a business card where you have a drawing done, and I'd have them then stick it into the book as a bookmark.
Yeah.
And then still reveal it, as a whatever way you get your peak. But there was a method you could do that, and then at least there was a reason for the book to sit on the table, and it's clean.
You can do a lot of stuff with these things together because there's so much sort of strong. They're all like mentally magic. That's kind of like what I'm into, and I'm trying to get on stage. I'm a full mentalist close up. I do a mix. I'm trying to get that more into that direction. So that's why I've been buying anything mentalist me recently and picking it up. But I think it's quite good. And if anybody's any questions about any of the products we discussed, comment down below. Anything that doesn't expose method, happy to talk about. So that should be fine to talk through that sort of stuff. I think it would be big. So just to kind of wrap up the review section, those are the things that we're talking about that are really good. So the Storyteller, Lewis Laval, Knock 'em Dead, Peter Nardi, and the End Book Test by Murphy's Magic and Angelo Carbone. All highly recommend, definitely worth checking out if you're looking for something to do, especially if you're looking for something new, something you want to work on. I think it's really cool to work through because those things are just... It's good when good magic comes out because there's a lot of crap that really doesn't...
there's a lot of crap. Sense minds.
Nostalgia.
Shit products. Good times. Wasted money.
Wasted so much money.
There was 1 or 2 bits were okay, but majority was completely shite.
It's the thing is, if it was on that, the one thing I always remember is the ring box.
The ring box.
The ring box is cool.
Actually, that's got a lot of compliments. To be fair, still people still
I was actually looking to get one recently.
For an idea.
Second.
I bet you mentalism.
I came up with a routine that I needed it for, and I hadn't bought one when they came out, and I was trying to get one second hand. They were ridiculously expensive.
Yeah, that's what happens though with some products like that.
Yeah, it's like it's when you want it. Oh, when they're available, you don't want it. Now, when you want it, you can't get it anywhere. Like there's so many tricks like that are out there that are kind of things that are you're looking through and trying to figure out.
No, when I saw the book today, I was pleasantly surprised. I think it's really, really clever. And I think if you're not a mentalist as well, but you're a magician and you want to add a bit of mentalism in, I think it's perfect. It's ready to go. A little bit of memory work, but like not a lot. And there's a crib anyway. So
it has to be done with this book. But if you wanted to equivocate,
add in a couple of books into it or whatever, or you could just leave it on a shelf somewhere, whatever.
Yeah, leave it on a shelf in a cafe. You're laughing. Like you can really, especially if you keep an eye on it.
It's $70.
Yeah, you just buy 100 of them. Put them in each of your local shop, and then you can just go in there and get you up. But yeah, I think it's really a really cool routine. So those are those products. Then I think we should kind of like discuss something that we've been discussing a lot lately as well. Is the Darren Brown book, because I've been reading through that, and we've been talking through it. So for those who don't know, Notes from a Fellow Traveler, Darren Brown's book available from his website's out. It's kind of like his diary going through his stage show. I think it's just like looking back. The more I've been reading the book, the more I've been looking back over his old shows and seeing the stuff he's talking about. Because a lot of tips about performance and how to get a standing ovation, those sort of things are great. Sure. And I was rewatching some of the old shows, and I was watching Something Wicked This Way Comes, which that and Evening of Wonder I still think are my favorite two performance shows that he's done.
Evening of Wonder was the first one, right?
He had Darren Brown live.
Yeah.
And then it was there is no recording, I think, of Darren Brown live. They didn't air it. But that I was thinking. But yeah, when you're watching him perform and getting through the stage shows, I think it's just incredible. I remember when we went to see his last show, Showman. Yeah, we went to see in Dublin when it was on, and it's like you'd be watching the show, and anytime you figure something out because it's so rare, you're like, "Oh my god, awesome!" But then the rest of the show, you're like, "What the fuck is going on?"
You just switch off and enjoy it. But it was an excellent show. I mean, it's one of those things. It's just great to see him live. If you haven't had a chance to see him live, go see him live. No doubt he'll be on a Vegas stage at some stage. I'm sure he'll go that route at some stage. I'm sure.
He's done Broadway now, so
he's done Broadway, so it's probably the next step. I'm hoping to catch Copperfield when I'm over in Vegas next week.
Yeah, cool. Yeah, because I think the last time I was in Vegas, I went to see Penn and Teller.
Cool.
That was 12 years ago. Yeah, because I'm old. But that was an incredible show. I loved it. I got to sit in like the front few rows. Mm-hmm. I remember at that show being like, "Oh, they're doing the bullet catch."
Yeah.
I've seen it on YouTube and it fooled me, but I'm sure they edited something out. Or the cameras. I'm going to watch it. And right before they shot the guns, I was like, they haven't done the move. Oh my God, they're going to die. But they were okay. They were fine. Yeah, they didn't die.
That was 12 years ago. They're still going strong.
Yeah.
So holograms or some shit in Delhi at the moment. Big shout out to Mike Hammer as well. Actually, he reached out to me, so we're going to check out his show when we're in Vegas too. Comedy Magician. So that should be fun. And then for people who knew they were over in Blackpool, they would have seen him there.
Some shows over there as well. And if anybody has any recommendation things to do in Las Vegas, any hidden magical places and places to go, definitely comment, because it's going to be a long trip for you.
It's going to be fun though. It's going to be fun.
Yeah.
So many people have reached out at the community just over there, because obviously it's the magic mecca of the world. So many people have reached out, like Rocco and Banachek and everything. So it's been awesome. So hopefully I'm going to try to catch up with as many as I can.
And try and do some
more people then for the podcast.
Videos on the phone for the
videos on it.
Absolutely. And some stuff on Instagram.
We'll definitely
and
get Rocco on it, and probably Mike as well.
Definitely be really good to get it going, because I think it's going to be an interesting sort of way of things are going. So I think it's kind of an interesting situation with the Vegas coming up. So we've been trying to figure out how to do more podcasts, because I know it's kind of like an up and down, and I have had people messaging me like, what's going on? Mm-hmm. But just life's gotten crazy. I'm part-time magic. I have a full-time job that's ramped up a bit crazy as well.
I'm full-time magic and part-time dad.
So those are the situations.
No shit, that's the other way around.
It's definitely going to be it's definitely a situation, but we have been talking to a lot of people trying to line up more interviews, because I think the interviews are what we like. So we're hoping to the second half of this year being a lot more consistent, a lot more getting stuff done.
But, and the thing is, well, obviously when we started the podcast, we had the pandemic, and the pandemic was it, and everyone was sitting, and now everyone's back doing their live shows, their Vegas shows, their whatever. So people that we were able to get before, now we're back on tour, and they've gone and they've switched different shows, or they're on cruise ships like Matt Johnson and all these people. So like it's harder to get people now. But saying that, they've all said they want to come back and do another one or an update or whatever. So there's a whole back catalog of people we have to get back to. So it's kind of our fault, and it's kind of up in their fault.
Yeah, it's kind of like when they're available, we're not available.
Yeah, that's it.
It's
so we need to prove, and obviously there's a time difference. But look, we make it work. And the feedback has always been amazing, and even more so internationally. I mean, the comments and the emails and stuff we get from other magicians globally is just crazy. You know, it's mad that it's gone this far, you know.
Yeah, I was even weird at Blackpool this year. Someone recognized my voice, which is weird. So like that's weird. But yeah, I just thank everyone for watching it, and we're going to try and get more. And I know we just kind of did quick reviews here of 3 products, but we're going to try and get more consistent with them and get some videos up, because I'm spending a stupid amount of money on Magic anyway, so I might as well talk about it. So
absolutely. And it's been, like you said, they're workers. People are going to use them. If people are watching this, you know, you're in the industry. Hopefully you're not wasting your money on stuff that isn't good. We're telling you that what does actually work.
Yeah, absolutely. I think there's quite a lot of good stuff.
Or you can just walk around doing Omnideck all fucking day. That's your business too.
I probably will. I'll probably buy all this stuff and just do Omnideck all day. It's actually, I'm honest to God,
that's it.
Thing. I've never performed Omnideck in any situation outside of one.
That's because it's not mentalism. Family. Can it be mentalism? Can you make it mentalism? You probably could.
I got an Omnideck late because it wasn't the machine I did, and then I did it on my sister.
We give the Omnideck a lot of shit, to be honest, as well.
I did it on my sister, and she immediately was like, "That's not a deck of cards." When I put it in her hand because it was cold, and I was like, "That's on me for like giving her a cold block of plastic."
Yeah.
But after that, I was just like, But it was one of those routines that I see the reactions it gets from people, and it's insane.
Yeah. But I had this conversation as well with Sean Farquhar when he was on, and he was saying, is the reaction, "Oh my God, that's amazing magic," or "Oh my God, what the fuck is that in my hand?" You know, there's 2 different reactions there. Are they reacting because they're surprised this thing is in their hand, or are they reacting because they think this magic that has changed or whatever? There's 2 ways of looking at it. Because like if you shout boo at someone, they'll shit their pants.
Yeah,
you know what I mean?
I'd love to diagnose that and like actually ruin the magic for people and
interview there's loads of tricks like that. I mean, obviously sponge balls can be like that, but there's a magic element to it, or you know, a good coin routine in their hands, or
anything where like you switch something in the hand that they think they have one thing and they never have another thing. Do they think, if you actually ask them, is there like shock? How did you switch this thing for this other thing? Or is it, how did the thing turn into something? But I don't think people think things change. I think people know it's sleight of hand. I don't think people believe it's real. So I think people are going to just...
Depends on the presentation. It depends on how you build up to it. But yeah, I think 9 times out of 10 they're shocked just because it's there now.
It's kind of like the... like when you do a chop cup, it's a similar thing to like the orange. You're like, I don't know how we got the orange under the cup.
Yeah.
Not how did that orange materialize inside the cup, you know?
Yeah.
It's like, they're like, how did I not see that? I think that's the thing which...
And you can play to that if you talk about blind spots and all sorts of stuff.
Yeah, because I think that's the thing. I'm still working my way through the psychology of magic, which got a lot of stuff like that in, and they've tested it. Yeah. And like they've tested... I
had a good chat recently with Tony Sidar, actually, and people who don't know, Tony Sidar was a great is a great magician and a hypnotist, and he was the first magician on Irish TV, and he did Buried Alive and Blindfold Drives and all sorts of stuff back in the day. And Tony was saying that as well, the difference between, you know, a good trick and people reacting to it, and then that kind of spikes a magician's kind of ego. But the trick was just a shock kind of a trick. So they're going to react anyway. And then you get a false sense of security. And it's way later in your career, if you keep up the magic and keep getting, you know, good and keep developing, that you realize, oh yeah, I wasn't actually good then at all. They were just reacting because it was a trick, you know? And I think his theory on that, I think, was really, really good. It was really interesting to talk.
Nice way to break it down, actually, because like you can still use that even in your performance.
Oh, absolutely, like, for stage or anything big, illusions, whatever you want.
If your opener could be that shock factor thing, because they don't know who you are, especially if you're in walker and you should approach them. Doing something that's just going to get a shock reaction of like, oh my God,
you can gauge them.
Boom. And then, because I think if you walk up to the beginning and you start doing something like from Storyteller or something like that, that's your opening piece and it's 10 minutes of like deep thing, people are just going to get bored. They don't know who you are, they don't know what you're doing. You have to get them on side first, and you have to earn it. I think is something that Darren talks about in his book, of just like you have to earn it before you can do any sort of bit that's long or interesting or just like, oh, give me all your attention because I'm going to say a story. So with that sort of stuff, you could do something that's nice and strong, just go boom, open with it, and then you can kind of go into something a bit slower, something that's a bit more magical, just like magical for the sake
or
of
reverse it back and have the magic happen for them. Where it's not about the magician at all. I mean, the best magicians do that, you know.
Yeah, I love the whole idea of putting army deck into like or any sort of magic into their hands.
Yeah,
and it'd be cool to give a way of doing that where it's like
But the best reactions you get is when you flip that and you let them experience the magic for them, and you leave everything. You know what I mean? Like if you're not out just performing like an ego junkie kind of thing, it's not about you at that stage. I mean, you should be happy enough to let them react to the magic and just walk away. And I know there's the whole cliche of like Dynamo and David Blaine walking away, but just let them, you know, bask in it, let them marinate and bask in it and walk away, and just let them enjoy it.
I think
you don't have to wait around to be told it was great. You know it was great. It was a trick. You know what I mean?
Yeah, definitely.
That's another thing Tony was saying as well, which I think is really good advice.
I find it awkward sometimes that way as well. Steve, I was doing I was at a gig afterwards, and after the last, I did a Paris show, and they were asking me to stay for a drink. Chap I was driving, so it's like I'll have a Coke.
Sure.
And I was chatting to people, and it's kind of all people want to do is talk about the show and the tricks, and they're like, "Oh my god, how did you read my mind?" and all that sort of stuff. And you're talking about like you might be talking about like body language stuff, but like I peaked it or I forced it. You know, you're looking at it that way, and it's like trying to. When you're not performing at this stage, you're just hanging out socially. You're like, I'm now just lying to these people, but I'm still performing, so I'm going to. But you can come
going to anyway.
That's it. Because one thing I started saying recently a lot, just to like to do it myself, I always say is like, like I am reading like body language cues and that sort of stuff. But some people are so hard to read that like sometimes I just fall back on classic magic techniques. And I just leave it there like that. I'm not saying anything else. I'm just saying that like they don't know what classic magic techniques mean.
That's true. Yeah, you're
for
not
them. They're
either.
gonna be like, what? And they don't understand. And I'm not saying for them I did.
I'm
saying, I was able to read your cues and stuff like that. But sometimes I might have to have other ways. If I'm in a situation, or if someone's not playing ball with me, and they are being like very difficult and that sort of stuff, I can't let them ruin the show. So I think
it is getting harder though, a little bit, in the sense of not in fresh material, because if it's a different presentation, you can make it your own, and every magician should be different in their own right anyway. But I think there's a lot of stuff being like exposed. There's a lot of stuff being TikTok, like revealed. Yeah, TikTok, but even TikTok, but I mean, like corporates aren't watching TikTok, so some dipshit doing a fucking flip stick makes no difference to some guy who's going to book you for a corporate gig. But like, but the overall, the actual performance pieces, I think if everyone's doing similar stuff, I think that's when people almost see it coming, and then there isn't even a shock value. Then it's not even that it's good magic; it's just there isn't even a shock value.
Yeah, it's about trying to find your own ways of doing stuff. I think it was in the Darren book, and something that I've heard people say before is that like it's okay to copy at the start because everyone has to find their feet, I guess. Yeah, most of us start doing magic. We're shy, nerdy teens or something like that, and we're just like trying to find our way through life. And this is a persona we can hide behind to break the ice of people and that sort of stuff. Yes, yeah. So you're just going to imitate who you like. Like there's so many mini Darrens. Like I was a mini Darren.
Yeah, and I was tweed coat and schmake fuckers.
and then I was a mini Luke Germain, and then I was a mini whatever. And now I just find my own sort of like combination of everybody. I've stolen stuff from people, but it's basically me. It's like I like the way he does that. I'll take a bit of that, but it's not like copying people. It's taking elements.
There's not much difference between going to a lecture and like in effect and go, I like that routine and I like this. You know what I mean? And then making a new show from it. I mean, that's definitely. Once you're willing to lecture and write a book and not expose your magic, but teach your magic, I guess. Yeah. Then you should be open to
and that's the difference. Is like doing it. If someone's selling like this is like if for example the end book test, if like Angelo has released this, so if people want to perform it, that's fine. And the method come with TV rights and all that other stuff. I'm actually not sure.
Yeah, I don't.
But there's some stuff with that. But then like if you were watching someone perform on TV and they were doing a routine and it's never been taught, it's never been anything, it's their routine. And you just go, oh, that's cool.
Yeah. I have envelopes.
It's like, oh yeah, there we go. And like I'm sure like we've all done it at some stage. Sure. When, especially at the early stages, you might see a Darren show and be like, oh my god, I love that, I'm going to do that. But
you can still make it your own. Still, like I'm not saying change the prop or whatever. The trick can still be the trick. But you have to make it your own. If you just literally take the whole presentation, that's why even early on I didn't like really watching like videos and DVDs and stuff as much, because you end up just becoming, like you said, Gregory Wilson or whoever you're watching. Like if you're doing a pickpocket routine, you end up just turning into Apollo Robbins. So you just can't help it, Where if you learn it from a book, that's your interpretation of it, and then you go and do it the way you would do it.
I used to find that I was very sort of malleable.
There's loads of clone magicians. I hate the fuckers. You know what I mean? It's the same. You could interchange any magician. You know, shirt, tie, type in, boring. You know what I mean?
I find that I used to find before I found like what I was and like the mentalism side that I really like. I'd be like, I'd watch like a card magic DVD, like a Bill Malone. I'm like, oh my god, I love it. That's
like
me.
Yeah,
exactly.
Like, no, I'm like, too much Dave.
I'm going to be the card guy. I'm going to do that. That's so me. And then I go watch Max Maven and be like, oh my god, I'm going to be like the dark, mysterious person.
You shaved your head, drawn eyebrows.
And then I'd watch like Wayne Houch and be like, no, I'm going to be like the young, cool person. That's me. And then you'd watch somebody else and be like, oh no, I found it. And eventually I was like, how about I just be myself?
Yeah.
And that sort of stuff, because you find it, because I remember trying to be the dark, broody person on stage, and then I just realized I'm too sarcastic and flamboyant. It doesn't work.
No, it has to be. You can adapt, and it's kind of cool then if you adapt a serious trick, but you make it your way, and you're like, that shouldn't work that way, but it does because you did it, you know, and that does happen. That does happen from time to time, you know.
Yeah.
Like you could have a big stage illusion, and you could do it, you know, really serious, or you could take the piss with it. It's still the same illusion. It's just your interpretation of how you're going to deliver. I've seen comedy lady cut in half kind of routine, saw it in half, whatever, and you've seen the really serious Hans Clock style, you know.
Yeah.
So it depends.
You get the situation as well if people get better reactions when you're you.
Yeah.
When they see a sense that you're yourself and like you're doing things you're yourself and you're just having a laugh at them, you're being you. They are now. And
relaxed. I think it's a nice feeling as well when you get to a point in your career that you know you're doing stuff that other people aren't doing. Yeah. I know there's routines that I'm doing that I know no magician does, and I know that not because of the tricks are unique or special, but the presentation and some of the effects that I'm doing and some of the things I've created that are in my set, you would only see it if you see me live. Yeah, so I think that's a nice place to be at, you know.
Yeah, absolutely. I think that's the sort of the originality, and it's where it's great having like someone like we've got each other that we can jam stuff off the track. That's what, especially when you're like, if you just get into magic, you probably don't know other people in magic, so you're just trying to figure stuff out yourself, sitting in a room on your own. And you're trying to figure it all out, and that's where that sort of stuff can come in. But once you have someone you can bounce stuff off, or even like I remember talking to like my wife when we were first going out, and she saw one of my shows and was like, "You always tell me." No, she was always like, "You always think you're this dark, broody person, but you're not." I was like, "I know I'm not," but like on stage I wasn't. But I think it's also because I like. When I went to see the Barbie movie, everyone was wearing pink, so I wore dark brown because that is me dressing light. That's as bright as my clothes go. So it was like I dressed. I didn't see the Barbie movie. It's brilliant. I was dressed Oscars.
Oscars.
I dress in all black most of the time anyway, so people think I'm dark and broody, but then I'm not. So it kind of all works out.
But like I know, like people's interpretation of like general people like watching Darren Brown is that he's scary and he's going to reach your mind and he can make you do these things. But he's not like that at all, either on stage or if you meet him socially. He's a really relaxed, fun kind of guy. So,
it's really nice.
So it's just it's just how people. Max Maven was kind of the same. God rest him now, but like he had that scary demeanor. But even the boo thing he used to do, like that was clearly taking the piss out of himself.
Yeah.
He wasn't scared of that,
And Luke Tremaine did the thing where he threw glitter in the air.
It's less scary with glitter or whatever it was. So. Brilliant. I think you need to find that little bit that makes it just you.
Yeah, because it can break the tensions of it. And I think as well, like...
or else don't. You know what I mean? If you don't want to be an artist, stay as a magician. You know what I mean? But if you want to be an artist and create your own identity, then you have to kind of...
I think the thing with, like, Darren said in an interview recently that, like, when he started off performing, like, Andy Nyman's his director.
Yeah.
And Andy Nyman's very attack when he performs. He's very up and boom. And it's
a
lot of energy.
Get Nyman sure was like...
Yeah. And then Darren was that because that's a guy he looked up to and that sort of stuff. Yeah. And if you watch his early shows, he's a lot more of that style of performance than he is more modern shows when he found himself. And he talked about that he had to find, he had to find himself. And even he talks about he can't listen to himself in the early shows where he's talking in the real drown.
I remember seeing a lecture from him from the International Magic when he first won. I think he was young. That was great material, and you could see essence of Darren. He was there, but he just wasn't the showman that he was and is now.
Yeah, I'm sure in like 10 years, if I look back at what I'm doing now,
I hate looking back at stuff because I'm like, this is terrible. That's what's fucking already brilliant now. But still,
it's less shit.
It's less shit.
Yeah.
I mean, that's all they can try for. Less shit and it pays the bills. So, yeah.
Oh yeah, 100%. It's good. But yeah, I think it's important to get that sort of performance side yourself, and I think it's more fun as well when you can kind of do things that you can come up with, get it out there, get performing, and you probably end up being more successful when you're yourself in performance because you're different from everybody else. They can't just hire a magician; they want to hire you.
Yeah.
Because
if they're hiring a magician, you're not doing your job.
Yeah, and that's
if they're not looking for you, you already lost the game.
Yeah, there's a lot to it that you're trying to just get. I even find sometimes like the magician in your area, you know what you're doing. Like when we first met, the first night we met, we did the same tricks to people, and we were like, "Wow, oh my god, we just became best friends." Also, I need to change my act.
Change my act.
It's like, oh god, I need to go. And now since like,
but that's because I think at the time it was like, what was it like? I can't remember. It was like, but it was flavor of the week. Was there whatever trick we were probably working on or whatever? Because sometimes you have to kind of work through a trick and be like, I'm going to do it for a while, and if it doesn't suit me, then I'll just kick it out completely. Yeah. But it's the stuff that becomes your regular set or your regular close-up set or your stage set or your parlor set or whatever. That is your working material. That is what you will do.
That's something I've started working on recently, actually, on my notes app, is I've started listing every trick I know. Because I feel like I've forgotten a lot of really good tricks that I used to perform all the time.
Do you ever watch back an old video and you're like, oh, that's class.
Oh, yeah.
That's me. I forgot that.
I've seen a video of me performing a trick, and it took me about 15 minutes to remember how the trick worked.
Nice.
So that was fun.
I saw an old video they were recently doing like a 4/8 assembly thing, and I'm like, I hate 4/8 assemblies. But that was actually good. I like that one.
But yeah, you can come up with stuff. So like, I have a list. I've got all my, at the moment, just close up. So I've got like card tricks, coin tricks, ring tricks, other. And I'm just list anytime one pops into my head, I'm like, oh my god, yeah, that. And I've got like it's getting quite long.
Yeah.
And now before I go to a gig, I can always just scan it back.
Yeah.
Because sometimes you get into a situation.
What was the one that we kept going on? Oh, the biddle trick.
The biddle trick.
Who was telling us about that? They were like, oh, the biddle trick's awesome.
I can't remember.
There's like 3 or 4 magicians that happened in the podcast. We were chatting afterwards, and we were talking about what's like a go-to trick, and like I think Joel Myers said it, and I think Nicholas Kane said it. A few of them said it, and I was like, I can't believe.
Yeah, I think Lloyd was
talking. Was it Lloyd as well? Lloyd, I think as well.
It's like it's one of those routines that everyone's like, oh my god, yeah.
And then as soon as you start doing it, it's brilliant.
Yeah, like if I get the thing that I have, some of these ones that
and I'm playing around with a variation of it recently, but I've started adding like another routine on top of the biddle trick.
Yeah,
and now it's even killing stronger.
It's like I was going through some stuff. So there's like the ordination, shapeshifter, rub it, vanish, and business card routine, 2 cards. Like
read them all out.
Not all of them.
He's reading them all out.
But like the biddle trick, it took me about 25 tricks in before I wrote down biddle trick.
Yeah,
which shows that it's not there. Triumph was way below that.
I genuinely think the biddle trick should be in the top 5, top 10.
Yeah, and the David Blaine 2 pile force from his thing. Where you deal into 2 piles.
Yeah.
Jokers find the card, all different variations. I didn't write down every variation things, but like there's a lot of stuff there. Yeah. And then there's like all these other ones. So it's about just getting
that masterclass that David did during the pandemic was awesome.
Yeah, it was really good. It's just
really clever stuff on there.
And it's stuff you already do and just how to take it that little bit extra.
Yep.
So yeah, like there's so many I've got so many more to add to this because I probably have. It's that thing we always say. Oh, I've forgotten more tricks than I know, but let's remember them.
Yeah.
And then like the tricks you probably did when you were a kid, or it's like key cards. Everything was on key cards. It's the first thing you get taught, and then you go like, oh my god, like it fools people. I have a whole like 10 minutes bit of my act using key cards where I'm taking people's pulses.
Yeah,
using
I did
shadows.
A event there recently, and the kid was like, oh, I can do a trick, and it was the owner of the venue. His son came over. He was like 12, and he did the elastic bands or the jump from hand to hand. Or whatever, but I was like, where'd you learn that? And I was waiting for TikTok or some fucking shit. And he's like, I learned it from this book. And I was like, brilliant. Keep reading books. Well done. Good man, you can read. High five.
I used to do all that time as a Houdini in a cell.
That's a great.
Getting into another cell, and then you do the crisscross across the fingers. On.
And then he handed me, and I did like 2 or 3 different variations of elastic bands up, but it was cool. It was like a little extension of what he had done, and it was just nice at the moment.
It's like Crazy Man's Handcuffs as well as a routine that gets great reactions, and I never do it.
Yeah, should be on everyone's list.
Yeah, it's like. It's how do you do that mentalism though? That's the question.
I don't know.
Mentalism, Crazy Man's Handcuffs.
You're allowed mentalism then.
Ooh, here you go.
See,
you steal Darren Brown's routine. You do.
Darren, how do you do Crazy Man Handcuffs mentalism style?
In his
there are no rubber bands.
In his character box routine in Showman, where he makes people forget time.
Sure.
you link into the spectator, you show that you're locked in, and then you go, okay, I'm going to free myself in 1, 2, 5. Look, that could work.
Yeah, I guess.
It's not as good as the real Crazy Man's handcuffs, but like you just make it look like you actually just took it off and put it back on.
It's a good trick.
Just like a hypnosis forgetting time thing. But yeah, you could come up with something like that. But
you could add any presentation to whatever.
Boom. Coming up in Penguins soon.
Crazy Man hypno cuffs.
Crazy Dave's handcuffs. There we go.
Crazy Dave's handcuffs. You're gonna get sued by Dave Williams. But that's great.
I'm the Crazy Dave.
There's only one Crazy Dave.
Yeah, we work it out. But yeah, there's loads of stuff. That's where like jamming comes into it and coming up with stupid ideas and having a supportive person tell you that that's the worst thing.
Yeah, the worst idea ever. Please don't ever do that. But no, Crazy Man handcuffs, mentalism side. No, I'm gonna shoot that one down.
6
right now.
Club Sharpie.
Yeah, there he's adding more to them. But no, there is. But it's not the trick, as we've said loads of times, and the amount of magicians that we've had on the podcast, global as international magicians, award-winning magicians, TV magicians, they've all said the same thing. It's never the trick. It's the presentation.
It's the connection you make with the audience is what matters.
It's how you can make them feel at that moment, and that little break of monotony of life or whatever, and just make that exciting moment. They'll never forget that. If you do that correctly, you are a magician. And
you want to get to the point where you want people to be like, they enjoyed your company. And I always had the thing of when people come up to me after the show, if they ask me about the show, it's one thing, but I'm always happier when they ask me about me.
Yeah.
Because that means they care about me and stuff like that. And like everybody's going to ask about the show anyway.
Yeah.
But when they ask about me as well, that's when I'm like, okay, I've made a connection with people. They actually care about me as a person. Yeah. I've risen above being the singing waiter type entertainment. Or those sort of things. Yeah. That, like, as I say, that like when you're in that situation when you're just doing walk around, especially and people don't know you're going to be there and you're just interrupting people's conversations, you want it to be that way that people feel like it's important. So yeah, I think that's
I'm sure as a mentalist though, because that's primarily what you do. As an opener, most magicians will go for something kind of flashy, but as a mentalist, you don't really have that. So you only have like a moment to read their mind, where you've got that almost confrontational bit where it's like, oh, okay, read my mind,
Yeah, that's why I like something like I always open with Wave. I think Waves or B-Wave, whatever way people want to pronounce it, by Max Mave. And I think that's a great opener for mentalism, because I think a prediction's a nice opener, because it's not very like read my mind. It's like I predicted something, and then you can move into it. Because if you open up and go, I'm going to read your mind, and there's no way you can stop me, then it's just like people are going to get their back up.
Sure.
But that's why it's like a lot of times you're in loud venues and stuff like that and doing close up. So that's why I still do card routines and sleight of hand stuff, because you just need something that's just visual. You can't be like, is it a 2? What?
Sharon.
All that?
Are you thinking of Sharon?
Sharon Caravan? No.
So you don't do mentalism in nightclubs.
Mentalism in nightclubs and stuff. D. Christopher used to do mentalism in nightclubs, and I find it the most impressive thing I've ever heard in my life. I don't know how you do that, because
scream at people. Like the whisper technique, but you scream. People just being like, "What?" It'd be the best way to get the peak. Just be like, I used to have a lot of residencies in nightclubs when I was younger. Remember when I was younger? And I was always visual magic for that. Just because it just has to be visual.
To lights,
fire, or flash pepper, or anything that floats or moves or stuff. You can play with the lighting and stuff. There's things you can do that makes other stuff look like. I remember there was a thing, and some of the DJs would know. I'd know when they were going to do like strobe light thing, so then I would do like multiple cuts. But in a strobe light, it just looks sick, and you're just like just a few multiple cuts and doing different things, or like an Ace Assembly type thing. Even though it's just you never really do it, but with the right lighting, it's going to get everyone's attention. It looks incredible.
Yeah, I used to, even though I wasn't working on my nights out during college, I used to bring the lights out. And I just give one to a friend, and I have one, and we just be throwing across the face. Or like you just be walking past like the lighting, and just be like, oh yeah, thank you.
Yeah, stick in your pocket. A really good one of that is a tail light of a taxi. Yeah. So make sure you're in the line of taxis. So the taxi guy behind you, so when you reach in to pull it out, like, and then like look back at the other taxi driver in the line and be like, weird. Put it in your pocket and walk in. You always see the guy going like, what the fuck?
No, I used to have great fun with the LED lights. They were the best.
Yeah, that kind of magic is always fun.
Yeah, absolutely.
Magic when they don't know you're a magician is awesome.
Yeah, I used to do that in the bus a lot, and I always think about real superpowers nobody would know. Because I used to I drop a card that I'd have invisible thread on, and just have it float back up to my hand, or money or something like that, and nobody would notice.
Leviosa at the moment.
Yeah, Leviosa.
Like everyone, really cool. It's a great trick, but everyone's gonna do it. There's gonna be fucking so many TikTok videos of that of kids all tangled up in thread and shit. I'm just no, I'll wait until it dies down in about 5 years and then I'll do it.
You have to do
I'll buy it now though.
You have to be at a magic convention now next and just put your deck down and just be like,
fucking treadmill.
Nope.
Yeah. Well, it's like that old thing where you go, oh yeah, hang on, get over here. Be like, look at that. Oh, hang on, sorry. No, that's when get a deck is fucked.
Oh, that's great. You just go into it. But yeah. There's gonna be a lot of people just putting their decks on the floor. No.
Got it. No, it's fucked.
What's the
jokes just for? Yeah, there you go. Yeah, you didn't reverse one. Oh, fuck's sake! Pick another one.
Pick a card. Cool. Put it back.
2 right, 3 spades. Told you now. No, fuck that. It's not good. That's
no, it's not gonna work. Oh, is that the timer? It's going well.
Yeah, we're doing good.
We're doing good. But I think we've going for a while now, and I think it's about time.
It's good to catch up.
Yeah, it's good to start off and just have a real brain dump on just all these thoughts. We started off with a format and then just evolved into chatting about magic. But that's what it's about. That's what we like talking about.
We're going for a 2 Johnnies.
Yeah.
2 Johnnies of magic format. We're just talking any old shit.
Do you know what's shocking? This isn't sponsored. Isn't that
this isn't sponsored by anyone.
That's sort of clean, efficient communication.
Yeah, we're talking about fucking, I don't know. I'm only going to say it. We'll be banned. Yeah. I'll come back with some mad stories from Vegas, and it'll be a whole new podcast when we come back.
Yeah.
X-rated and all that.
We'll do. The next podcast we'll do is
Deceive reality.
After Vegas, we'll have another podcast. And we can talk about all the things that happen in Vegas and go through the whole thing. So that's what we do, and then we'll get back into interviews and get the reviews going and all that sort of stuff.
Absolutely.
And if anybody wants any of the deep dive of the end, any of the other products that we covered, which was a Storyteller and Knock 'em Dead, let us know. I can do more of a deep dive into it. And also, if you're interested in any of the other products that have been out lately, if I picked them up, I can go into it, like Alexander Marsh's Off Stage or anything like that you want.
You mentioned his Penguin lecture recently.
Yeah. That was on sale actually on Penguin. Is a cool. Penguin lecture too, so definitely worth checking out any of that stuff as well. So that's it for this week, and we hope we catch you all again in another one, and hope you enjoyed it, and we'll be back again in a couple of weeks when you're back from Vegas.
Absolutely.
So, thanks so much, everyone, and enjoy the rest of your day.
Have a good one. Take it easy.
Bye.
Bye.